Hi, thank you for tuning in. Today I'll be sharing some African proverbs about life as well as their meanings. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment and share as well. Let's get started. There is no one who does not like soup with fish in it. This proverb means that everyone desires good things, no matter who the person is. It might not show at once. They might not always want to front it there for people to see. But the truth is that we all desire good things. Or is there anyone who doesn't desire good things? Let me know. One to whom an oath is administered says that if the swearing stick annoys him and gives him 2 knife strokes from the resulting fight, will he give you one and take one? This means that if a person is given advice but does not take it and something bad results from it, he alone will suffer the consequences. Or would you rather suffer the consequences with them as well, even when they did not take your advice? Who gives a squirrel palm fruit that has been roasted in the fire? Squirrels are already used to eating their palm fruit raw. They are unable to roast it. So, don't expect anything from anyone who cannot get it or even afford it. If you see someone who is not working, doesn't have any means of livelihood, how do you go and ask the person for money? Where do you expect the person to get money from? He or she cannot offer you money because he or she simply doesn't have it. When people expect things to be done, perhaps by others, that means nothing is done. What this means is that time does not wait for man. If you want things to be done, it's either you go out there, do it by yourself. But if you are folding hands and you are fully dependent on other people to do things for you, they might not always do it. And so, to prevent that, supervise to be sure that those things are done. The one who came to the toad's house and told the toad to bring him a chair, did he see the one that the toad was sitting on? To ask a person for something that you do not see that he has at hand is foolishness. So, you see someone doesn't have something and you're asking for the person. Let's say someone is expecting money, but here you are, you need the money immediately. But this person is expecting money maybe in the next 2 weeks, and you are busy putting pressure on the person to give you money. Isn't that foolishness? Where do you expect the person to get the money from and give to you? If one plucks fruit with the intention of filling his bag, he falls to his death at the base of the tree. This means that greed brings death. This might not be talking about death like physically, but maybe 1 or 2 things that are negative might come out as a result of someone being greedy. A chicken who claims to be mad has not seen the drunken fox. If someone who is always ready to face death meets someone who is also ready to face death, then he begins to crave life. You see, sometimes things happen and we're like, oh my God, I'm so depressed. No one else is suffering the way I am and stuff like that. But you don't know that there are people out there who are even more depressed than you are. And so, if you happen to meet such people, of course, you will now see that your situation is even better than theirs. And so you'll begin to be thankful of what you have. When the food is properly done, that is soft enough so that the crumbs fall, it reaches the ants. So what this means is that if something good reaches one person, it reaches others as well. Actually, that's how it's supposed to be, but it is not always the case because some people are so selfish that they want everything good to themselves. And so if they see that something is working for them, they do not even try to introduce other people to that as well because we all want to be the king of the manor. Yeah. It is not the day the child spills oil that he is flogged, but rather the day he spills crude oil. Repeat offense is what brings one punishment. The day one does something small, he is reminded of the big thing that had been forgiven. Let's say you might commit a serious offense over and over again and you get forgiven for it. And so you might feel like, okay, if I can do this and I'm forgiven, then let me continue. And then a day might come just when you do something very, very little. You'll be reminded of other days you had committed severe crimes and you were let go. If one tells of the place where the rain met him, he is given a place to warm up by the fire. If one explains his condition, one does for him what ought to be done for him. He is treated as he ought to be treated and receives the help he needs. So you see, what this proverb means is that if you do not tell people about your problems in life, nobody can help you. You have to always tell people what you need, and so you'll be able to get the help that you deserve. If not, everyone will just go their way and assume that you are better off. He who holds me to the ground holds himself. You don't know that you are wasting your own time even when you are deceitful in performing a task. That's it. Cheating. You are wasting your time as well, because the energy and resources that you put into cheating, for example, would do you more good if you were just to channel all those resources and energy to only one person and be faithful. Talk cannot be held. It doesn't go free if money is not involved. Yeah. And so it's more or less like you can barely achieve something if money is not involved. Do you agree with that? Let me know in the comment section. The moon comes out. Whenever it comes out is when it shines. The time a person uses to do something he is able to do is his own time. If one person cooks for a group, they eat all the food. But if a group cooks for one person, he will not eat all the food. This means that one person cannot do what a group of people can do. The bushfowl tells his children that they should gather up yams and they should gather up roots, because there is no knowing when the farmer might dig up all of his yams. A person should have a hand in many things. If the first thing is not profitable, that means there should be another one. It's always good to have 1, 2, or even more alternatives to one sources of income. But if you don't have it, well, what can you do? You just have to manage your resources properly. When one is an invited guest, one does not treat the chicken to death. That is, overemphasize any offense on the part of the guests. A person does not feel ashamed if he goes where he is invited. And so, when you get to someone's house, you do not begin to talk down on them and stuff like that, because after all, you're a guest, and so you leave one day. Okra should not be stronger than the planter. This means that a child should not be above his father's authority. If one does not chew water, he does not know that water has bones. One who has not experienced life's ups and downs does not know that life is hard. Especially children who are born with silver spoons. They never know the struggles that their parents had to go through in order to make that money available. They might always think that, oh, it's easy to come up with money, not knowing that it's actually hard. Nothing the eye can see will make it bleed. There is nothing about which one can say that nothing like it has been seen in the world. So we say that sometimes we just end up doing repetitious things that other people had done, because there is nothing in this life that has never been in the world before. Well, this might be exempted from scientific inventions, I think. One who has been bitten by a snake is afraid of an earthworm. What this means is that what happened to a person earlier makes him afraid now. Sometimes we are hunted down by things that happened in the past. For example, maybe in a relationship, some people might go into new relationships with baggage from their previous relationships. And so if they were cheated on before, now they're just skeptical. They find it difficult to trust others because of the experiences that they've had. The bush where a child got a snail, there is where his eyes are drawn. This means that the child goes to the place where he has gotten something good. I think this applies to even adults as well, because where you see you're getting something good from, that is where you are always likely to frequent more than other places. One who has traveled exceeds a gray-haired person in knowledge. One who travels around learns more than an older person who stays at home and does not go anywhere. So you see, sometimes it does not necessarily have to do with age. It just has to do with moving around a lot and traveling a lot as well. Running for one's life does not exhaust someone. You can do greater things out of fear than he can normally do when there is nothing to fear. So this means that human beings sometimes are more likely to do things out of fear than just on normal circumstances. If a woman marries two husbands, she knows which was the better husband to her. If a person does two different kinds of work, he's able to find out which is the more profitable to him. So you see, even when there are two different things, two different people right there in front of us, deep down we know which one is always a better choice to go for. One who uses hand and reaps hand, that is, one who does good and receives good in return, says that he is loved. This means that a gift of grace follows a gift of grace. Anyone's good works bring him works of love. So you see, it's more or less like what you put in, that is what you get out. You cannot plant cassava and think that you are going to harvest rice. No, it is garbage in, garbage out. A foolish rat copies a lizard and goes out in the rain. Meaning, if an ignorant person imitates a knowledgeable person and he falls, or if you see someone doing something that he can afford to do, but you cannot, and you go and do likewise, you put yourself in debt. So you see, do not copy what other people are doing. Just do yours. Stay on your own lane. Life is more better that way. Edible raffia termite says, rather than closing his buttocks, which would kill him, extract his oil so that he looks shriveled. It is better that a person throws away something sweet and save his life than to be silent, that is, take no action, while his life is taken away. If one puts excess oil in the soup, it is not good tasting. To overdo something is not good. So sometimes it's just, better to be low-key rather than go out there and do everything all out. Never overdo a thing because it doesn't end well. If one experiences problems greater than the value of his farm, he sells the yam barn. If one who cries for money experiences something that will take his life or his household, he brings out the wealth that he has hidden. So sometimes you see maybe someone who is lamenting and says they do not have money. But if something happens right now that he sees that he's putting his life or that of his family in danger, that money he or she said he never had, you will see they will bring out that money that they hid away somewhere. The right hand washes the left hand, and the left hand washes the right hand. A good deed is reciprocal. So when you do good, of course, good comes your way. If buzzing around pushes the fly, it pushes it into the oil. When something bad is destined to befall a person, it does not allow him to understand the difference between good things and bad things. So you see, life is really difficult because sometimes people might just be in a situation and you hear them say that they are finding themselves in between the devil and the sea. They do not know what to do. The snake that does not swallow its companion does not grow fat. It is very hard for one to become wealthy if there is no way he can gain from the hands of his companions. Well, this could be interpreted either as exploitation or as taking assistance. It all depends on the circumstances surrounding the situation. One who says, I am dying, has not seen one who is almost dead. Do you remember the earlier proverb I said about thinking that you are in the worst situation, not knowing that there are other people whose situation is even worse than yours? So this is also in relation to that, and it means that if the one who desires or asks for death sees death, then he begins to desire life. The snake that bites the tortoise bites it in the shell. For a person to take on something stronger than he is a waste of time. You see, like a snake who bites a tortoise, the snake ends up biting the tortoise on the shell. So biting a tortoise on the shell, what does it do to the tortoise? Nothing. And so when you end up taking something stronger than you, it's just a waste of time. If an old woman gathers hardleaf plants and cuts the roots, causing the plants to die. The famine that came this year will return next year. What this means is that when a person eats something, he should remember tomorrow, or gathering and eating all is a bad thing. You should not play tricks on the natives of a place. For a person to play tricks on someone wiser than he is foolishness. You see, sometimes, especially children of nowadays, they always want to act smarter than their parents. It doesn't make sense because before you, your parents were. So what is that thing that you're going to do that your parents would not know about it? One looks for an animal's eyes in its head. One should look for a thing in the place where it ought to be seen. So do not go about looking for things in places that you are not likely to find them. One should not use the morning to predict a bad market. One shouldn't use the early years to tell if a child is going to be wealthy or wise. Just give the child time and see what happens. One does not kill a ram because the work involved is excessive. A person should not kill his companion for nothing. If there is nothing that is like more food in the hand, it causes the piece of food in the mouth to grow cold because it will be eaten more slowly. A person cannot succeed in accomplishing everything his heart desires if he has no money. So you see, money is very important in life. It is said that after one drives away a wild cat, one asks the chicken where he was, meaning that you should not blame one of your own people when the enemies are near. You should criticize them in private. Let's say your friend does something out there in public, or a family friend, and you're angry, you've seen the person is wrong. What do? Do you criticize the person right there in public before others, or do you take the person in private to criticize them? What would you do? The toad does not run in the afternoon for no reason. This means that a person does not cry if nothing happened to him. Everything always has a reason. The anteater says that anything he sees and runs from, there must be something extraordinary about it. What the old man says and shouts alarm about or cries about should be examined closely because definitely it is not a small thing. One should look for a black goat in the afternoon. A person should do things at the proper time. Just imagine going at night to look for a black goat. When the goat is black, the night is dark, which means everywhere is dark as well. So how would you be able to identify a black goat at night? So it is better to do things at the right time. One does not have to tell an intelligent person to get out of the sun. It is not wise for the mature man to put off what he ought to do and wait for someone to remind him. So you see, especially grown adults who still seem to be confused about what they want to do with their lives, they shouldn't wait for someone to remind them or even tell them what to do because they are matured adults. So you see, you should never have to tell an intelligent person to get out of the sun because they are in the sun and the sea and feel what the sun does to them. One should not sell in the nearby area a chicken with a broken leg. A person should not practice the sit in a place where people know him. Left for me, do not even practice the sit at all, but let's just stick with the proverb anyway. So you see, sometimes you want to do a business transaction and you feel like, okay, this person is my friend. And so you're relaxed. But at the end of the day, you feel that the person that you thought you knew, the person you felt relaxed to do business with, even ends up cheating on you. I mean, it is crazy. How do you feel cheating on someone you know, someone close to you? And you stick around. You know very well that tomorrow, so one or two things might happen and this person might find out that you cheated on them. So does it even make sense? That's what the proverb says. But left for me, do not cheat on anyone. Just live a straightforward life and leave the deceit behind. If one counts an offense once and counts twice, then strikes a knife blow in revenge, he cuts into the bone. Meaning that if a person's bad behavior exceeds all bounds, he will be given punishment and given it so that he feels the pains in his body. If the child's first yam, the child burns up completely, he pulls the second one out from the fire before it is done. meaning that when something happens to a person once, next time he is cautious. So you see, that's the truth. When the black ant stings the buttocks, next time the buttocks learns wisdom, meaning that if things have not happened to a person, he does not develop wisdom. That is to say, experience is the best teacher. If she passes wind but it does not smell, does she now take in food with a bad odor? Meaning that if you apply your strength to do something but you are unable to do it, you're not going to kill yourself because of it. Don't worry yourself over things that you cannot control. If the earthworm protects himself, that is, takes good care of himself, he becomes a strong, long-lived earthworm. Meaning that if one protects his life in youth, his future will be good, or he will become a wealthy person. Washing the hands before cracking a palm kernel for a chicken translates to being industrious for nothing. Palm kernels are usually sold, not given to chickens anyway. So what exactly are you trying to do? The day of war is not the day of judgment. This means that the day a person does something bad is not the day he receives payment for it. Yeah, that's why they say 9 days for the thief and 1 day for the honor. The one who pounds the yam is not angry. The one who prepares soup is. One who cultivates food is not angry. One who eats starts to get angry. Meaning that the one who has the most difficult job is not annoyed, and yet the one who has an easier time of it is annoyed. Sometimes you see people, they get angry for nothing. When people are even in a situation that they're supposed to get annoyed, they don't. And then others, when they're in situations that shouldn't even make them angry, you see them flaring up and all of that. If the grasshopper is burning, he says he is producing oil. If one acts foolishly, he thinks he is wise. That one is self-explanatory. If the leopard's leg is broken, the deer comes to collect his debt. When a person is in a bad position or in need, the person beneath him begins to talk back to him. So you see, this one is even realistic in life. Someone who is in a bad position or you need help, then you see the person who is under you, they begin to talk to you anyhow simply because you're looking for help. Let's say an elder relative is looking for help from the younger one. The younger one might start raining abuses and insults on the eldest simply because the eldest relative has come to the younger one to ask for help. One who chases a chick has to fall, while the chick has to waddle away. Only you are harmed when you chase away one who has done nothing to you. Unjust pursuit of innocent person. It doesn't make sense. Since I saw the wine tapper's hemorrhoids when he was atop the raffia palm tree, what he was tapping no longer pleased me. If a person defiles himself or sells his honor in public, he will no longer be respected. The cottonwood tree does not grow in only one nation. There is no nation that lacks a wealthy person or something good. What makes a man thin also makes him stout, meaning that what a man suffers greatly to obtain is valuable to him. To speak in secret does not make the mouth excel. That is, it does not make the content of speech better. Not all people in the same family will turn out to be foolish. The bird does not defile his own nest, meaning that for a person to do something bad in his own place is a bad thing. You see, this proverb is still related to the earlier one I said about being deceitful to someone close to you. The dog does not chew the animal bone that has been hung around his neck. The thief will not steal what has been given to him to guard. That would translate to betrayal of trust. But it's quite unfortunate because so many people do this. You give them something in trust. Maybe you give a friend money to keep for you. By the time you go back to ask for that money, you will be so surprised that the person has used the money without even telling you, without asking for permission from you. If an immature child tries to take revenge for what happened to his father, the thing that happened to his father happens to him. This means that if a child is immature, there has not yet been anything he is equal to accomplishing, and he starts to pursue his father's enemies, he might die prematurely. If a child purposely keeps on crying for its own sake, they will carry the corpse past him. That means they will ignore him and he will miss whatever is going on. A person should not talk about everything he sees so that things do not pass him by. The weak grasshopper breaks a chisel. One who does not have the strength to work ought to rise early when the sun is not yet strong and starts to work. The place where a crying child points is either where his mother or his father will be found. Anything a person sees and keeps on saying that is what he wants to do, that person will end up doing it, come what may. If a wild animal feels itchy, he rubs his back against a tree. If a human being feels itchy, his fellow human being scratches him. The meaning is that the value of human beings to each other lies in helping each other when in need. One who goes to the latrine carries 2 small sticks for cleaning the anus because there is no knowing about the return of the urge to defecate. This means that if one is going to undertake anything, he should think long or prepare well so that if it happens that one thing requires more than he at first thought, he will not be embarrassed, but will be able to accomplish the thing quickly. So in other words, it's always best to have a plan B. Do not rely on just one plan. If one finger touches the oil, it spreads to all of the fingers. The bad behavior of one person leads astray the general public. One does not bury smoke in the earth. This means that there is nothing that happens in the world without being known. Whatever is hidden will definitely be exposed. The chicken says that it is those who are knowledgeable who go to war with clubs. To influence a person to do something he does not know how to do is to lead him into ruin. Just like giving bad advice to a person. Let the hawk perch, let the eagle perch. The one that tells the other not to perch, let his wing break. The one who tells his companion not to stay, tries to displace him, let him be the first to die.